Hello, America, and welcome to I Love News. Today is April 12th, 2009. Today is the day that the Civil War started, 148 years ago. From April 12th, 1861 to April 9th, 1865, a hard war was fought. It was between two sides, the Confederate and the Union. Many of them died in this war. Let my co-host Alina tell you all about it.
Hello. Well, this war was very long. 4 years is a pretty long war, don't you think? I mean, it might not sound so long, but when you're in the war, it seems like it's forever. In that amount of time, sadly, many men died. The number of deaths are extraordinary. 364,511 dead for the Union, and 260,000 for the Confederates. That is a huge number. I think we should honor the men who died in that war. Don't you think?
Yes, exactly. Let's show a few pictures of the soldiers during the Civil War.
The men definitely had a hard life during the war. When they were not fighting or training, they were always bored. They would write letters home since the communication was very bad. They had to entertain themselves with games like card games or board games.
Wow, that must be really bad. Good thing communication is way better now. Okay, so there are more things to a Civil War man's life than boredom. The way they had to live was really hard as well. We recently have interviewed someone that knows some things about the life during the Civil War. This interview was done a few days ago. Let's show you what happened.
I am here with someone who has recently studied the life of Civil War men. Her name is Yesenia Plazola, and she definitely liked to share what she had learned.
Hello. One thing that was hard about a soldier's life was the food. They didn't get the nutrition they needed because they mainly got some meat, coffee, dried or canned fruits, and this dried biscuit called hardtack. They cooked all their food with people or alone and stored it in their harbor sack.
Wow, well, thank you for sharing that information.
You're welcome.
Food now is way different than it used to be, and at least it's healthier now.
It is true. Well, we know that soldiers are off the battlefield, but how is life when they are training or fighting?
Well, they trained a lot, and it was hard for people to adapt to the soldier routine. They had to learn how to use the weapons because that was the most important tool for the war. The rifles back then were different than our weapons now, so it took a lot of practice.
Of course! Well, I bet that fighting was so much harder than training. It was also scary because they could lose their lives so easily. So when they saw others falling, that worried them.
I would never want to be in war. It sounds really frightening. But I couldn't be in war because I'm not a man. But the woman had a very important job as well. Without the woman, the men wouldn't function. We will now show you what Yesenia said about the woman's life.
So what was one of the main jobs for the women in the Civil War?
Well, one of the main jobs for women was becoming a nurse.
And what did it have to take to become a nurse?
You had to be at least 30 years of age, you had to be healthy, and you had to be plain. Plain meant you couldn't be attractive, and you couldn't wear color, you couldn't wear jewelry, you couldn't wear bonnets with flowers in them.
Oh, wow. Seems very interesting.
Yeah.
Then what did nurses do?
So what the nurses did was they cleaned the wounds of soldiers that were hurt, they administered treatment, they did minor surgeries, and they took care of the troops.
Well, it seems like women had a big role in the Civil War.
Well, in some cases they did, and in some cases they didn't.
Oh, wow. So what other jobs could women have during this time?
Well, other women that weren't nurses, they would either clean people's houses, they would serve the troops food, and they would watch over them.
It seems like women should be treated like royalty.
Well, yes, they should have, but most men didn't see it that way. They pictured nurses and other women that were in the Civil War as little rag dolls, and they basically harassed them.
Oh, wow. Well, that must have been really hard for them.
Yes, it was, but women back then were really courageous, and they still are.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I think the women should get more credit because when we think about war, we only think about the battles and the soldiers, who are men. Women are very important, and they should get more recognition. Don't you agree, Alina?
Oh, yes, definitely. definitely. I don't think men would survive without women.
Right, well that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for watching today's I Love News and join us tomorrow. Okay, goodbye.
Bye.